Hey everyone, let me tell you something that's going to sound absolutely wild. That humble onion sitting in your kitchen right now, the one you probably only think about when you're making dinner, is actually one of the most powerful natural medicines for your cardiovascular system. And here's the kicker, most of us are cooking it completely wrong, which means we're losing out on benefits that could literally be life-changing. I know what you're thinking. Onions? Really? But stay with me here, because the science behind this is absolutely fascinating. And by the end of this, you're going to look at onions completely differently. So let's talk about what's actually happening inside your blood vessels. When you eat onions, there's this compound called quercetin. It's a flavonoid, basically a plant chemical with some seriously impressive effects on your cardiovascular system. Now, onions are one of the richest natural sources of quercetin you can find. We're talking about 52 milligrams in a medium-sized onion, which is substantial. But here's where it gets really interesting. Researchers at multiple universities around the world have been studying what quercetin does to your blood vessels, and the results are pretty remarkable. One study published in the journal Nutrition found that when people took onion peel extract containing quercetin for just 12 weeks, their flow-mediated dilation improved from about 12.5% to over 15%. What does that mean in plain English? It means their blood vessels became more flexible, more responsive, better at expanding when they needed to. That's huge because stiff, inflexible blood vessels are basically a precursor to all kinds of cardiovascular problems. But it doesn't stop there. The same study found that these people also had a significant increase in endothelial progenitor cells. These are like the repair crew for your blood vessels. They go around fixing damage, regenerating the lining of your arteries. After 12 weeks of onion extract, these repair cells jumped from about 44 per microliter to 52. That's nearly a 20% increase in your body's ability to repair and maintain healthy blood vessels. Now let's talk about cholesterol, because this is where onions really shine. A study involving people with mild high cholesterol found that drinking just 100 milliliters of onion juice daily, that's less than half a cup, for 8 weeks, led to significant decreases in total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol, the so-called bad cholesterol. And we're not talking about minor changes here. The results were statistically significant, meaning the effects were real and measurable. But wait, there's more. You know how doctors are always worried about oxidized LDL cholesterol? That's when your LDL cholesterol becomes damaged by free radicals and turns into something that actually causes plaque buildup in your arteries. Well, onion consumption increased the lag time before LDL oxidation occurs. Essentially, it gave your cholesterol a protective shield. And then there's the blood pressure connection. A fascinating study looked at an onion olive oil preparation. Basically, onions macerated in olive oil, and found that it significantly decreased both systolic and diastolic blood pressure in apparently healthy subjects. But here's what really caught my attention. It also reduced plasma viscosity and hematocrit. In other words, it made the blood less sticky, less thick, more fluid. That means better circulation, less strain on your heart, reduced risk of clots. Speaking of clots, researchers at the University of Wisconsin found that onions have antiplatelet activity. Platelets are these little cell fragments in your blood that clump together to form clots. That's good when you cut yourself, but not so good when it happens inside your arteries. The scientists discovered that consuming raw onion in studies with dogs eliminated cyclic flow reductions caused by platelet clumping within 2.5 to 3 hours. The implications for preventing heart attacks and strokes are pretty significant. Now here's where most people mess up. And this is the game changer I promised you. How you cook your onions dramatically affects how much of these beneficial compounds you actually get. Multiple research teams have studied different cooking methods, and the findings are crystal clear. Boiling onions is basically the worst thing you can do. Studies show you lose about 18 to 30% of the quercetin when you boil onions, and it just leaches out into the water. Unless you're drinking that water as soup, you're throwing away the good stuff. But here's the exciting part. Baking and sautéing onions actually increases quercetin concentration by 7 to 25%. How is that even possible? Well, when you apply dry heat to onions, the water content evaporates and the quercetin becomes more concentrated. Plus, the heat breaks down cell walls, making the quercetin more accessible and easier for your body to absorb. One study specifically found that frying onions for less than 10 minutes was the ideal method to retain quercetin content. After 10 minutes, you start losing it again, because prolonged high heat eventually degrades these compounds. So there's a sweet spot here. You want enough heat to break down the structure and concentrate the compounds, but not so much that you destroy them. Microwave cooking without water also performs really well. It retains the flavonoids better than boiling, and almost as well as baking or frying. The key is cooking without water. When water is involved, those water-soluble quercetin compounds just dissolve right out. And here's something most people don't know. The outer layers of the onion, those first 2 or 3 slightly slimy rings right under the papery skin, they contain the highest concentration of quercetin. Most people peel those off and throw them away. Don't do that. Chop them up and use them. You're literally throwing away the most medicinal part of the onion. Let me give you some practical tips. If you're going to cook onions, aim for sautéing or light frying in a healthy oil like olive oil or avocado oil for about 5 to 8 minutes. That's the sweet spot, where you're concentrating the beneficial compounds without destroying them. Add them to stir-fries, omelets, or just eat them as a side dish. Another strategy, and this is backed by research, is to pair onions with healthy fats. Quercetin is fat-soluble, meaning it's better absorbed when consumed with fats. That's why that onion olive oil preparation worked so well in the studies. The olive oil helped deliver the quercetin into the bloodstream more effectively. You can also combine onions with vitamin C-rich foods like bell peppers or a squeeze of lemon. Some research suggests this enhances quercetin absorption even further. It's all about creating synergies that maximize what your body can actually use. Now, I want to address something important. While the studies I've mentioned are legitimate, peer-reviewed research, it's worth noting that many used concentrated extracts or specific preparations. Eating whole onions might not give you the exact same concentrated dose, but the principles still apply. You're still getting significant amounts of quercetin and other beneficial compounds. And honestly, eating whole foods is always preferable to supplements, because you get the full spectrum of nutrients working together. Here's what really excites me about all this research. We're not talking about some exotic superfood that costs $20 a pound and only grows on a remote mountain in Tibet. We're talking about onions. They're in every grocery store. They're affordable. They're versatile. And if you prepare them correctly, they're incredibly powerful for your cardiovascular health. The evidence is pretty overwhelming. Onions help make your blood vessels more flexible and responsive. They support your body's natural repair mechanisms. They lower cholesterol and protect it from oxidation. They reduce blood pressure and improve blood flow. They have anti-clotting properties that might help prevent heart attacks and strokes. And all of this from something most of us have sitting in our kitchen right now. So here's my challenge to you. Start paying attention to how you cook your onions. Stop boiling them unless you're making soup and drinking every drop. Start sautéing them, baking them, adding them to your meals in ways that preserve and even enhance their natural compounds. Keep those outer layers. Cook them with healthy fats. Pair them with vitamin C-rich foods. Your cardiovascular system will thank you. And who knows, maybe that simple change in how you prepare one of the world's most common vegetables might just be one of the smartest health decisions you make this year. If you found this useful, let me know in the comments what your favorite way to cook onions is, and whether you're going to try adjusting your method. And if you want more content like this, where we dig into the real science behind everyday foods, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.